Hi guys, and welcome to Stellaris. So this is going to be a new series on my channel. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Now I bought Stellaris when it first came out, and recently it's had an update and some new DLC which I've purchased, and it got me back into the game. And I really want to show you guys what this game's about because I really do enjoy playing it. I've sunk a lot of hours in the last couple of weeks in it, so yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy it. So we're going to go with new game. Now I've got a few species that I've made myself. You know, I've got like a base human type one that I was playing around with at first, because you could choose one of the sort of created ones from the game itself, but I prefer to create my own all the time, just to see the different options and how they work together. So this was sort of the very first one I created, but the one I'm going to be playing with is the Hantak Technocrancy. So this species uses lasers, hyperspace travel. They are a bit militaristic. They're materialist. So yeah, it's a fun sort of one that I've made. They are very good at populating planets because of rapid breeder and enduring and things like that. Enduring just means that sort of their leaders and stuff live longer, which is always nice. So yeah, this is what we're going to go with. Now for those that don't know, there's 3 different methods of travel in this game. You've got warp drive, which is the slowest form, but there's no limits on where you can go. If you want, you could start at one corner of the galaxy and literally just fly to the other end of it, and there's nothing that stops you doing that. You've got wormhole travel, which is probably the hardest one to get the hang of. You have a wormhole gate that's not fitted to the ships itself, and that gate will have a certain range that it can travel to, and then if you want to travel further, you have to build more and more gates. So, you know, each one has its own sphere of influence that can teleport from one system to another. It's really good and fast for a few ships, but when you start moving big fleets around, the time it takes to jump from sector to sector increases exponentially, and it really slows you down later game. You've then got hyperspace. Now, when the map is generated, it links all of the planetary sectors with different hyperspace lines, and if you have hyperspace travel, you can only travel along those lines. So if a system isn't connected in a particular way, you might lose access to it. So it's an odd one because you have to make sure that the areas you're trying to go to are either within open space or your space, because if they're in sort of another player's space and they deny you access to their area, that's it, you can't get somewhere. So it's quite easy to be boxed in playing hyperspace, which I think is interesting because, you know, it creates really odd scenarios where you've got to work out how you can expand and stuff with, you know, the limited resources you've got. So as I say, we're going to go with the Hantak. Now we're going to go with a small galaxy. If people really enjoy this series and stuff, I may eventually go to a huge galaxy. That will take a long time to play through. So yeah, for the moment we're just going to go with a small one. Now with small, you've got a spiral, a ring, or an elliptical galaxy shape. A ring is basically just like a donut, basically, and the places you can travel are all in that ring area. The middle is hollow, can't do anything with it. You've got spiral, 2 arms, which, you know, just as you'd guess, is a spiral with 2 arms. And then you've got elliptical. So this has a very small area in the centre that has nothing in it, and the rest of it is basically a big oval area, or circle area, where you have all the planets. So we're going to go with this. We're going to have 6 AI empires, 2 advanced starts, 1 fallen empire. We're just going to go with the standard habitable worlds of ×1. We're going to have the AI aggressiveness at high, so more wars hopefully. Normal difficulty, any FTL, so you know what I was describing before. Just because I'm using hyperspace doesn't mean the enemies are. They might be using warp drive, they might be using warp gates or wormhole gates. So you know, it just adds that bit of extra randomness, because you can't just defend, you know, 1 or 2 sectors where, you know, the hyperspace links are, because an enemy might not use the hyperspace links. They might just literally go straight around your defences. So you have to sort of work on that assumption. We're going to have random placement. You could have clusters, which puts sort of a few empires in a small area and then goes to the next and so on. But we're going to go random, so you know, we might end up literally on top of another empire, or we might end up at the other side of the galaxy to all of them. We're not going to have advanced neighbours. I definitely prefer not to be fighting an advanced AI right off the bat. We're not going to have the endgame crisis. On a small map, I don't see the point really. And we're going to have Iron Man mode off. Now, if you have Iron Man mode on, obviously it means you only have the 1 save file, which is fine for, you know, just playing the game normally. But as I'm doing this as a Let's Play, if for any reason my recording software fails, or, you know, I have a problem like that, if I've only got the 1 save file, it can really sort of make my episodes disjointed. You know, so if I had to go back for any reason, I can't show you. Or, you know, there'd just be a miss in the episodes where something went wrong. So I'm going to leave it off. I'm obviously not going to cheat with it, but you know, the only reason it's off is so that if I have a problem, I can go back to sort of show you guys what actually happened. So, we are going to load the game. I'll give you guys a minute to read that, because when I read stuff I end up making so many mistakes. But yeah, so if you do want to read it, just give the video a quick pause. Okay. So, I'm going to be doing this as a bit of a tutorial as well, so that people that haven't played sort of get to know a little bit about the game. So, up here is sort of your actions queue, so this will pop up with anything you need to know. So, the first thing it's telling us is to set up some sciences. So you have 3 different types of science. You've got physics, society, and engineering. And you can have all 3 of these going at the same time. So we're going to go with physics first, and you have choices in your technology tree, and it's random what choices you get. Obviously there is a bit of, you know, you won't have physics lab 2 for example before you've got physics lab 1, but the choice of what can show up is a bit randomized. I think the very start is sort of a set amount or a set group that you'll always get pretty much. But so if I choose physics lab now, there's no guarantee that the solar panel network will be there on the next run, you know, because it's randomized. We are going to go with the solar panel network because it gives us the ability to build a space object in our spaceport above our main world, and it just gives us a little bit of extra energy. Now, energy is sort of our money in the game. So you use it to trade, you use it for all sorts of things. Materials are what we build with, so you know, that's one of the key things. We need to build up as much of that as possible. But obviously, when you build space stations or anything like that, it requires a monthly energy to actually operate it. So for example, if you look down the list, we've got station maintenance -3. So because we have a space station, it costs 3 energy per month. So you have to increase your energy when you're building space stations and stuff, because otherwise you'll end up in negatives. So yeah, we're going to go with the solar panel first. Now for society, we've got naval capacity, a orbiting hydroponics farm, which adds extra to their food in the same way that the solar panel adds extra to the energy. and we've got the Biolab 1, which will increase the amount of society science we get where we build this building. Excuse me. I've no real need for the orbital hydroponics, so I'm not going to bother with that one. The naval capacity, to start with, we have 14. Now, your naval capacity goes up in several different ways. It goes up with the number of populations you have, it goes up with the number of planets you have, and it also goes up, or not with the number of planets, sorry, with the number of spaceports. And you can build one spaceport per planet. So just colonizing a planet won't increase your naval capacity, you actually have to build a space station. Of the three of them, I think that's going to be the most useful at the moment, the Biolab. And what have we got? So we've got an improved spaceport. So this would let us, or it'd unlock the modular Corvette assembly yards. So this would basically make building the first tier of warships cheaper. So they build quicker and they're 10% cheaper. And it also lets the spaceport be upgraded to level 2. So, I mean, we've got the engineering facility, which again adds more to the engineering science. And we've got a better thruster, which, to be honest, I'm not too bothered with at this precise moment. So yeah, you know what, I'm going to go with this one. So that's our science sorted. Let's take a look at our homeworld. Now, the computer automatically sets these hotkeys up for you. You can set new hotkeys by having whatever it is you want hotkeyed open. So for example, our fleet, if I wanted this on hotkey number 5, you just hit Control and number 5 while you've got this open. If you want to get rid of a hotkey, you just right click and then remove. Now what I tend to do is I tend to have my military fleet on my very last hotkey, and I have my science and construction vessel on 8 and 9. And the reason I do this is because it leaves space open for me to put the colonized worlds that I have in sort of 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and so on, because, you know, when you first colonize a world, you need to do a lot to it with building different things, and you want to keep an eye on it. So when I colonize a world, I just put a hotkey in so it's easier to get to. So this is our home world. It's got 17 tiles, so this is how the planet looks. These here are sort of blockers. So to get rid of a blocker, it costs energy, time and materials, and then, you know, a population can grow there. So if I fill up all the remaining squares, that's it, my population won't grow any further until I've cleared some of these out. Now at the moment we have robots because of a particular perk that I've set this species to have. So normally you'd have 8 of your species, but instead I've got 4 of my species and 4 robots. Now robots have benefits and sort of negatives. So their science output is minus 80%, their unity output is minus 80%, their energy credits output is minus 40%, but their materials output is plus 10%. So having these guys on material slots increases the number of materials I'm getting from that, you know, in the same way that having it on the energy would reduce that. Now because that was already a 1, it didn't reduce because it can't go less than it started at, but yeah. They don't affect food production in any way, so you can have them on farms without worry of any negatives, so that's always good. Now sometimes a planet will have 2 different resources in a tile. Now if I put someone on that tile, I'll get both of those resources. But if I put a building on that tile, one of those will disappear. So I could build, for example, a mining network there, and I'd lose the 1 food production, but I'd get a bonus to the mineral production. So instead of producing 2, it'd actually produce 3. The same as I could put a farm there and produce 4 food because of the bonus that's already there. Now I could put something else there and lose both of those bonuses. So if I really wanted a science lab there, I could do that. But yeah. Now Unity is up here. Now when this fills up, you can unlock a tradition. Now when you unlock the tradition, you can then unlock the perks within it. And once you've unlocked all of the perks, you get an ascension perk. Now these ascension perks are ridiculous in some respects. Some of them are just, you know, overpowered. And when you get to sort of the later perks, you know, near the bottom of the tree, you know, you can build whole new worlds basically, which is awesome. So we will be getting into some of that most likely before the end of the series, but for now, just know it exists. So first thing you'll want to do after you've set your science up is your science ship. And if you click on the middle of the star with a right click, you can tell it to survey your system. So my science ship will now go around and survey my system for resources and things like that. And if we hit M, we can go to map mode and get our first look at the galaxy. And this is what it looks like. So all these lines are the hyperspace network. You can turn them off if you don't like them. That's the button. But if you're using, you know, hyperspace as your travel method, best to keep it there. Now this blue area is my zone. It's sort of my territory. So if I set, when I meet other alien races, if I set my territory as sort of closed borders, they can't enter it. You know, if it's in blue space, that's it, they can't enter. It also means that planets that are within my area, so I've got these planets here and these planets here, now they're green because they're desert worlds, and my species live on desert worlds. But because they're within my territory, nobody else can colonize them. So the first colony ship you build, you don't necessarily have to colonize the planets that are near you. If they're in your territory, no one can colonize them. So you're better off colonizing, you know, further out planets so that you expand your influence more. Because in the same way that I can't, nobody else can colonize these, I can't build space stations or anything like that in a place that isn't within my territory. So, you know, I might go over here and survey the system, and there's a lot of materials there, for example. And to get access to those materials, you'd normally build a mining outpost. But if that's not within my territory, I can't build the mining outpost. And there's 2 ways to expand your territory. The first is to obviously colonize a world. So if there's a world there that I could colonize that world, that then links to my territory, and then I can build stuff there. The other way is to build a frontier outpost. Now, there's good things and bad things about frontier outposts. They cost, I think it's 200 materials, so at the start of the game, building them is expensive. The other problem with them is they require 1 influence per frontier outpost. And at the start of the game, you have a very small influence gain. And influence is used quite a lot for quite a few different things. So if you build 2 or 3 frontier outposts, that's it, you'll be on a negative or 0 influence gain, and there's not a lot of ways to gain influence. You can't just build something on a planet to gain influence. So, you know, wasting your influence gain, not a great thing to do. But time's ticking on, so we will start doing some stuff, because otherwise the first episode will just be me talking. So we're going to get our sort of military fleet, and I'm going to split this into 3, because you start with 3 ships in your military fleet. So I'm going to split it completely, and I'm going to send each one off on a little journey, just to have a look at what's out there. And then head back. Okay, so you're investigating that arm. You can go this way. because you can only see what's going on within your territory. So doing this will give me an opportunity to see what's out there, and this will open up sort of, if there's a habitable world in one of these sectors that I go to, I'll see it. And although I can't colonize it until I've surveyed it, I'll know it's there, so I'll know what's around me. It'll also give me an opportunity to meet any alien races that are close by, because if you see their ships, then it opens up sort of ways to find out who they are. Oh, I missed that one, so you can backtrack to there, and then once again head home. So as I say, doing that, splitting your fleet up, one, it means that if you come into contact with a very advanced alien species, because there are just random alien species out there that aren't aligned to a faction, you know? If they blow your entire fleet up, that's it, you've lost your entire fleet. But splitting it up, at worst you lose one ship. So yeah. And I don't have anything for my construction ship to do yet, so we are going to unpause. Now I'm going to run this in the fastest possible speed most of the time. And there's our ships travelling off to disappear, and both of them are gone. And our science vessel is going around and scanning away.
Situation log updated.
So we've encountered some form of alien vessel. These strange objects have been flagged as alpha aliens. Oh. So it did not take long for the Huntat technocracy to come across intelligent alien life. The fleet's report to the Huntat capital somewhat underestimates just how alien these forces appear, and only in passing mention the failure to open comms. So that opens up in the situation log basically a special research project. So I can spend 8 months basically finding out about this set of aliens, which I'm gonna do. Now if we go to the map, that's where they are. Now the number there is their fleet power. So my fleet power, for example, is 26. Their fleet power is 332. They're a bit stronger than I am. So yeah. And the way they travelled, they have either got warp or they've got a wormhole generator. So I think I'm going to meet an alien race somewhere near here. Oh, and we've just come across another set of aliens, and they are powerful. Wow, they're powerful. I'm going to start the research on them as well. Now, it won't do both of these at the same time because they both require society research. So it'll finish this one, then it will start researching the next one. Now, hopefully my ship will get away before they blow it up. You know without a doubt that a thriving biosphere is not something unique to Xena. Both the scientific community and the public at large are eager to learn more about the various forms of alien life found throughout the galaxy. Efforts to catalogue the life forms we encounter are already underway, but our xenobiologists have urged us to focus on planetary surveys' effects on habitable life-bearing worlds. So basically this is just another project or a quest line I can do. So I can begin the habitable world quest side event, which basically requires me to scan 8 habitable worlds, or I can just take some influence. And you know what? I'm gonna commence the initiative, and I'm gonna set my science ship. Now, if you hold Shift while you set tasks, it will do them sort of in order. So once I've finished surveying that system, I want it to survey these systems, and that'll get me 2 worlds in the 8 that I need to search. And unpause. Oh, more alien vessels. Wow, another big fleet. This is the thing with this game, you have no idea what sort of start you're going to get. Sometimes you have a really good one, other times it just messes you up straight away. So yeah, it's all good. Now let's have a look at our planet. When a population is shaded like this, it means that they're growing, so they're not ready to actually work. So you can see the growth population, it's going to take quite a while. It needs to get to 36.3 and it adds 1.15 per month. Now that can go up with things like your food. Once you've stockpiled your max amount of food, so in this case 200, that 7 a month goes directly to bonusing sort of your growth. So it'll add a percentage to your growth depending on how much extra you add a month. But I would like more materials really from my world. So I am going to put another mining network down and I'm going to move you onto that mining network. So we've only so far found sort of uninhabitable worlds. I could sort of land on them and colonize these worlds, but my habitability isn't 100% on them, or isn't as good on them.
Special project complete.
Oh, and we've managed to finish surveying the alpha aliens. Okay, so it's just basically saying that I could hunt them down, but it wouldn't be very worth it. And they don't attack me unless I attack them, so yeah. Nothing to worry about with that race then. Now obviously doing these researches does slow down this research. So this scientist won't be doing any of the research for the biolab at the moment because they're doing the special project. So it can slow you down doing that, but you know, it is worth it. And it looks like you're heading back now.
Construction complete. Anomaly found.
Okay, oh. So our scientist, while doing a survey, found an anomaly. Now the failure risk is 60%, which is ouch. Anomalies can do all sorts of things. They can add extra bonuses to what they're surveying, they can add new quest lines. So yeah, it's normally a good idea to just research them. A 60% failure risk is quite high, but I'm gonna risk it. At worst, it just means I need to hire a new scientist. Now, hiring a new scientist will cost influence. So yeah. Oh, another alien race that's chasing me. Wow. No, don't engage. Oh dear, I've engaged them. Emerald roamers. Okay. We died. There are structures on Viral 3, though most are less than ruins and more akin to rubble. The initial pass over the planets reveals only one building that could be considered intact. Seemingly spared whatever calamity robbed Viral 3 of its buildings and builders alike. This is the source of noise. Not only is the building intact, reports science officer, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that, but it is active. It's a production facility of some sort, turning plastic polymers into mute objects of uncertain but possibly ornamental purpose. Okay, so it's an alien toy factory. Okay. So our scientist didn't die, thankfully. And if we look at this planet...
Project complete.
Oh. I'll leave you for the second. If we look at this planet... Oh, you're in the way. We can look at the surface because we've surveyed it. It's got a building there already. So if I colonize this world, I could put a population there and I'd instantly get the bonuses from that. So yeah. Right. Reports strange free-floating crystal-like objects observed. Sensitive been identified. The ship-size object and their slightly similar but equal crystal-like satellites. Okay. So we could issue another project that observes them, or we could basically attack them. I'm going to observe them, which gives me another research objective, this time using physics. So yeah, research. Now you've reached the end of your survey, so I want you now to go out to these worlds, and you know what, you can go further afield as well before once again heading back. Always head back to a system you know is safe, because otherwise your ship will get to the end of its survey and just sit there and probably be destroyed if there's an enemy there as well. Really not a lot of habitable worlds though, which is slightly disappointing. Oh well. Now I want to clear some of these blockers, so I'll clear this one first, because that's covering 2 energy, and the more energy the better. Okay, so we've recovered an artifact. So this begins the precursor event. Okay. So that requires me to find 6 artifacts, which they'll turn up every now and then on different worlds when you survey them, so yeah. Oh, we've encountered another alien vessel. Lovely. Wow, that's powerful. Run away! Oh no, it's started fleet combat. I'm gonna die. Another ship of mine is gonna die. But even if I had all 3 of my vessels together, I still would have lost there. So, yeah. Now, as you can see, in the systems that I've surveyed, I'm getting these little icons at the bottom, and that's showing you what is in those systems. So if I come here and look at the Sun, for example, if I build a space station around that, I can mine 2 energy. If I build a research station around here, I can get 3 extra engineering research. So I'm gonna get my construction ship and build a mining station. Now, the other thing that you have to take into consideration, for example, if I build a research station, its monthly maintenance is 1 energy. So this is why I'm sort of so concerned with gaining energy, because you're going to constantly get minuses whenever you build research stations and stuff. So it's important to have a good income of it so that you can build lots of different stations. Okay, you've finished that survey, so you're moving on to the next. Now I should have 1 world in my habitable world. Yes, I do. I really wish I'd found another habitable world though. Like that's depressing that I've not. And slightly worrying. Now on the spaceport, I've not got any upgrades yet. I'm going to start building a couple of corvettes to replace the ones that I lost, and also because it's always a good idea to have a few for defense at the start of the game. So that's just letting me know the mining station has been built on the surface and my population's grown, so he's started mining. However, I'm going to swap you out for you because the robot gets that extra 10% and you obviously, doesn't matter who's doing the farming as long as someone is. Okay, well that's got a lot of research places. I'm going to have you build... Oh, I can't do the mining stations there yet. I don't have enough money or materials. Oh! We've unlocked a new alien race. Okay. This isn't a main player. This is just sort of, this is from one of the updates or DLCs. So this is basically just sort of a minor species in the world that, you know, is sitting on a planet somewhere, and you can sort of negotiate and do trades and stuff with them. So yeah, awesome. So whereabouts are you? Oh, you're over here, orbiting a black hole. And look at that. Okay, so what do you offer? Okay, I can buy star charts, they can help in our research, and they can tell us about mysteries of the universe. Depending on the size of your universe, you'll have different numbers of these, but they're sort of like big quest events and stuff like that, so it's a good thing we found one of them quite early. They can be useful. Right, the third fleet is parked because it's got nothing to do. So, you know what? Off you go up to here, to here. I'm just going to send it on a very long quest and voyage, so it will see all sorts of stuff before coming home. There we go. So it will go on a little trip around the galaxy. Okay, and we've just finished the crystalline entities quest. Oh, okay, so with the information we've gathered, we can actually activate a special sort of edict, and for the cost of 30 energy, when we enter a system, we can find out all of the survey information, so we don't have to have our science ship go round, but it will cost us 30 energy to do that. So it's interesting. I probably won't make use of it, because doing it stops us getting anomalies and things like that in those sectors. So the science ship method is slower, but this happens and you can get bonuses, so I'd prefer to do that. Okay, now hopefully our construction ship can build here now. Yes, you can, although that's going to cost 202. I'll wait a little and then do this one. Oh, and we have our first Unity. So we've managed to get enough Unity to be able to unlock one of the traditions. Now, the tradition you unlock will sort of give you different bonuses. So, for example, I could unlock the Prosperity tradition. And, you know, one of the very first perks you can unlock with this is building a private colony ship. Now, colony ships are quite expensive. The private colony ship, instead of costing materials, will only cost energy. So if you've got a really good resource of energy, doing that might be a quick way to help colonize lots of worlds. In this particular one, I mean, I could go with Discovery for science. I think I'm going to go with Expansion. Because there's a couple in here that are really good. So, for example, you've got Colonization Fever, so capital buildings, and any colony that you start will have a capital building, produces 1 additional Unity. So it just helps your Unity production. So, you know, I'll be able to do more of these quicker. You also have the Reach for the Stars. So for the purpose of colonizing and building frontier outposts, systems count as being half the distance away. And the reason that's important is, depending on the distance away from your sort of area, it will change how much influence it costs to colonize a planet. So by halving that cost, you can go quite a lot further without sort of having a massive stockpile of influence. And then sort of the next tier up is frontier outposts have a reduced cost of 50%. So instead of costing 1 whole influence point per outpost, it'll only cost half of an influence point. So it'll help you sort of expand your territory a bit more for sort of less cost. So we are gonna go with this pack. Okay. Partial remains of an alien yacht ship have been found in high orbit over, I'm not going to attempt that planet name. An initial analysis conducted by the Zam-7 crew indicate that the vessel may have served as a colony ship. Even the cruiser-sized yacht ship were typically crowded by only 1 or 2 individuals given the immense size of their bodies, but this hulk has more than a dozen cryopods attached, each containing withered exoskeletons from what must have been yacht colonists. Ah. Issue special project, derelict colony ship.
Situation log updated.
Okay, so this might give me a colony ship. Or, oh, okay, it's from the precursor race sort of thing. So what I can do is I can tell... he's not high enough level. So I'm going to have to wait until my scientist levels up again, and then I can send him back here to sort of do a survey of that particular thing. Have you managed to... No, you're just leaving a known space.
Construction complete.
Oh, so you've finished your construction queue, so we've got more ships now in orbit. Awesome. You know what, I am going to build a couple more. At the very start of the game, you will almost always get a pirate quest, which is basically the game trying to teach you that having some sort of warships in stock is a good thing. And it will basically be like a breakaway event where some of your colonists have apparently turned pirate, and then it gives you basically a target to attack. So it's a good idea to have a few ships built, so that when that sort of thing happens, you can respond to it straight away, rather than then, you know, scrambling to get stuff built before they blow up anything you've built already in regards to sort of mining outposts.
System survey complete.
Wow, there's 7 energy in that system? 2 there, 1 there, 2 there. Wow. There's a lot in that system. My science vessel at this point has finished surveying all the systems I've told it to. So let's tell it to survey what's left within my territory. And hopefully I will find a habitable world. But you know what, looking at the time, I'm going to leave it here, guys. So thank you very much for joining. Please like, comment and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want this to be a series, if you want it to continue, or if you think it's dull and boring. You know, I do listen to feedback, I do read your comments, and you know, if you don't tell me that you don't like it, then I'll assume that you do want to see more. So, you know, let me know. And I will see you next time.